never know what you'll find.
If you don't feel confident yourself, you can't possibly spread confidence to your players.
Gamble's made a lot of ground in the middle. A hand there as well.
You steal your woman out. We just haven't got a clue what to do. Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster. The cops are out. They're running about. Don't know if they'll ever be able to Blockbuster out. He's gotta be caught. He's gotta be taught. 'Cause he is more evil than anyone here ever thought. Does anyone know the way? Did we hear someone say? We just haven't got a... Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster. Does anyone know the way? Did we hear someone say? We just haven't got a clue what to do. Does anyone know the way? There's got to be a way to Blockbuster. Every time I touch your hand, it's like I'm burning in the fires of hell. And if I hold it too long, you never can tell what will happen to me. Wouldn't want you to see. She's a hellraiser, star chaser, trailblazer, natural born raver, yeah, 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 yeah. She's a hellraiser, star chaser, trailblazer, natural born raver, yeah, yeah, yeah. Look out! She got a life on the shell like a flash out of hell, and when she's shaking up, ooh, everyone fell at her feet, and that's needed. She took me completely by surprise with her ultrasonic eyes that were flashing like hysterical danger signs. It's everywhere when you tread or you'll go out of your head. She's a hellraiser, star chaser, trailblazer, natural born raver, yeah, 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 yeah. She's a hellraiser, star chaser, trailblazer, natural born raver, yeah, yeah, yeah.
My mum says to me, why can't you be like Bob Wilson? She says, why can't you be nice and intelligent and calm and collected like Bob and not upset anybody, and Bob doesn't swear and Bob doesn't do that. And, you know, if she's not careful, she'll just renege completely, and my man will have a new son and they'll call him Bob Wilson Clough.
You don't understand. Every time I touch her, it's like I'm burning in the fires of hell. And
come true, sir?
Oh yes, I very every confidence that it would come true. I'm delighted.
Tell us now, have all the problems been ironed out about the gag and the gag on Brian himself?
Yes, all been ironed out and agreed to.
Brian, what does this contract mean to you now after all this long time?
It means it's a beautiful day to sign a contract. We couldn't have picked a better one. It's for 5 years, and it means that we can settle down now and get on with the jobs we're being paid for.
Have all the problems been sorted out as far as you're concerned? I mean, so much pressure from the club, from the Football League to stop you criticising
just
people.
as a chairman, have they all been sorted out? Do you want me to say no when he said yes?
I think he's made a mistake of going on television, and the biggest mistake he's made, I think, of criticising and insulting personnel of the football world.
Yes, I've been hurt. I've been hurt like I've never been hurt before. Why should I try to be? So give me your love. I've been hurt. Well, you cheated, mistreated, cheated on me. Oh, there you go. Oh, a whole lot of lies. Guess what happened? Guess what happened? Guess what happened after that time? I saw you with another guy, holding him tight.
That other clown at the other end was.
Yeah, but you keep calling him, hey Brian, you keep calling him a clown, but in fact that fellow has made some fantastic saves and he's kept him.
I think that Peter Shone should have stopped that, and I don't think that the other goalkeeper is a clown, and I think that that's very adverse comment, Brian.
Yes, I've been hurt. I've been hurt.
Good evening. The Middle East War produced developments all over the world today. The oil-producing countries of the Arab world decided to use their oil as a political weapon. They will reduce oil production by 5% a month until the Israelis withdraw from occupied territories.
Just had a frank talk about Saturday, and Saturday's got to be on the minds of the players at the moment.
There's no thought at all of not playing on Saturday.
No, the players are playing Saturday, definitely.
What about this letter, Roy, that you went to the board?
Oh, sorry, I can't answer no more. Sorry.
I mean, I was the captain at the time, and I think possibly at the time we went a little bit too far. But that was only in a sense because we wanted Brian Clough to be our manager, because we knew the success we'd had, and we knew the success that was going to come if he was to stay there.
Though I chose this lonely life, it seems it's strangling me now. All the wild men, big cigars, gigantic cars, they're all laughing at me now. Oh, I've been used, I've been taken for a fool. Oh, what a fool. Broke all the rules, yeah, but I won't let the show go on.
How do you feel about Dave Mackay being the manager?
No, wrong fuck with that.
He's always been with us and he's brilliant. He might have well, you might show off a bit sometime, but he's brilliant. He's brought this team up.
Nobody will to touch him.
I've been so used, but I won't let the show go out, but I won't let the show, I won't let the show go on.
And there in the stand is Brian Clough. And listen to the crowd. It was Newton, Davis, nice turn. This is Hinton, Newton's pushed forward as well. There's Davis, Hector! Here's Davis. Hinton. McGovern's on the far post. Oh my word!
Load up, load up, load up, rubber bullets. Load up, load up.
I ever see 85% or perhaps 90% of chairmen talking. I would love a few chairmen on your programme occasionally. I believe the very sight of them brings the game into disrepute. And every time they open their mouths, it kills it.
Yeah.
Because they're the very thing that they've given me a lot of stick about over the years, about talking too much and going on television too much. These are the very people who can't put two words together.
It was Clough's first chance to see the size of his problem at Brighton. He's already increased the playing strength from 16 to 17 players. Today, he took on York goalkeeper Ron Hilliard. Brighton played with plenty of enthusiasm, as though every place in the side was at stake. Bridges' attempt forced a corner, the first of many against a strong York side. Brighton dominated most of the game. The mere presence of Clough in the stand made them play above the standard of a team near the foot of the third division. This time it was Howell who failed to score. Time and again, Brighton built up promising attacks. But every attempt ended up the same way. So problems for Brian Clough, but he sounded cheerful.
I thought they played remarkably well, considering. It wasn't an easy match for them. It wasn't an easy time to play well. They were very tense. We were all a bit tense. It was a big crowd. We were delighted everybody was here, but they were very nervous.
No goals. Obviously, you're disappointed about that.
Yeah, we had several chances to stick one in, but, you know, as it goes, it didn't go in, and that's the way it is.
I fall off my chair, and I'm wondering how I'll get down the stairs. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. Yes, I'm stuck in the middle with you, and I'm wondering what it is I should do. It's so hard to keep the smile from my face. Losing control, yeah, I'm all over the place. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you. When you started out with nothing and you're proud that you're a self-made man, and your family all come calling, slap you on the back and say, sense of it all, but I can see it makes no sense at all. Is it cool to go to sleep on the floor? I don't think that I can take anymore. Clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
I've got Nigel Clough here with me. He wants to see the 8 Bristol Rovers goals go in again. What did you think of Brighton yesterday?
All right.
All right. Well, that's good. That's good. Today, though, we leave you, as we must, of course, with a tribute to the brilliant shooting of Bristol Rovers, which young Nigel wants to see again. Of course, the shooting that left our old friend Brian such a lonely man down there in Brighton yesterday.
And Gall was quite clearly holding him back, and this is a goal! Yes! And 3 Rovers players up wanting the ball, and there's number 7, Fernley! Now for Jacobs again, hit across their goal, Bannister's header, and there it is, another one! And this is going to be the next one, and it's the hat-trick for Bruce Bannister. There's Warboys, number 5! Warboys, this will be the number 6, I would think, and it is! Is this going to be his hat-trick? It is! And here's Warboys onside, the linesman's kept his flag down, and that's his 4th goal! Bristol Rovers 8.
sure that he won't be the last. He's Mr. Know-It-All. Makes a deal with a smile, knowing all the time that his lies a mile. He's Mr. Know-It-All. Must be seen, there's no doubt. He's the coolest one with the biggest mouth. He's Mr. Know-It-All. When you tell him he's living fast, he will say, what do you know? If you had my kind of cash, you'd have more than one place to live.
There it is, the winner by unanimous decision.
Any place he will play, his only concern is how much you'll pay. He's Mr. Know-It-All. If he shakes on a bed, he's the kind of dude that won't pay his debt. Oh, he's Mr. Know-It-All. When you say that he's living wrong, he'll tell you he knows he's living right. And you would be a stronger man if you took Mr. Know-It-All's advice. Oh, he's the man with the plan, got the counterfeit dollar in his hand. He's Mr. Know-It-All. Take my word, please beware of a man that just...
I'd like a change of government. I've said this before. I think Sir Alf should be Prime Minister. I think I'd rather him be Prime Minister than manager of the England team.
Well, this weekend, England's footballers get their first taste of life under the new team manager, Don Revie, the man who now has the most important job in English football.
Saw the paper, Don Revie is leaving, leaves to go to England. When I met him, he said, sort of, by the way, I'm going to recommend you for the job, to take over from me. I never thought about it. I wanted to play, so I said to people, I was in an Irish situation, I was turned down for a job that I hadn't even applied for, and then they appointed Brian Clough. Didn't make any sense, you know. Cloughie had been very, very critical of Leeds for about 5 years.
Roker Park, December 26, 1963, and the playing career of Brian Clough, the fastest goal scorer in British football, is virtually over. This week we welcome Brian Clough to Leeds in his new job, manager of Leeds United, successor to Don Revie, and a man in charge of the Leeds machine, the most successful combination in British football. So how will his outspoken personality fit in with Leeds, and what can he do for a team that's done just about everything? What will his strategy be? To put these questions to Brian Clough, I've got with me 3 sporting journalists, but I'm going to kick off with the very first question. Brian Clough, you've called Norman Bite Your Legs Hunter. You've said that Peter Lorimer falls when no one's touched him.
I took Norman Bite Your Legs Hunter from a sign in the World Cup build-up.
Well, you're even quoted as calling Bremner a con man. So how did you get on with them at your first meeting as manager?
I got on remarkably well with them. The last one is not true. I've never called Billy a con man at all. But Norman Bite Your Legs Hunter, that's a beautiful... If you've ever seen a preamble to a sports programme, somebody holds this up in a banner to a cup final. And it's a beautiful shot.
Was there no ill feeling at all?
And he does bite the legs.
Was there no ill feeling?
Of course not, no. I think he's quite proud of the fact that he's regarded as a hard man.
OK, well, let me ask you also, what made you want the job as Leeds manager in the first place? Because after all, they've won just about everything except the European Cup. You can't add much new glory and you face the possibility of going downhill. So why take the risk of coming to Leeds?
I don't think it's a risk at all. I wanted the job. There was that many questions there in one. It was unbelievable.
Well, it's why you want the job, essentially.
Good lad. I want the job because they're a top club, if not the top club. And I want to be a manager of the top club.
Well, John Sadler of The Sun, your first question.
Fine, you've got the job, Brian. You are now manager of the top club. You've inherited a Revie setup, backroom boys, players. Some people call them an ageing side. Some might even say they're over the top. How on earth do you start and tackle a job of this magnitude?
Just by the normal procedure I've had right since I came into management. Talking to them, listening to their point of view, giving my point of view, adding a little bit of me here and there, and incorporating everything that's good at Leeds and putting a little bit of me into it.
Keith Macklin, your first question.
Brian, the criticism that you've launched at Leeds over the years has been quoted.
And it's been right.
Fine. You also said, I think, in a newspaper article that the Football Association should have fined them infinitely more than £3,000 and possibly considered putting them down into Division 2.
I think Leeds have always sold themselves short, Keith. I think they've been champions and they've not been good champions in the sense of wearing the crown remarkably well. I think they could have been a little bit more loved. You know, there are a lot of people jealous of people who are successful, but having said that, apart from that, Leeds were disliked and are disliked. And it's only been the last 12 months where they've started to earn, you know, a little bit of applause from everybody. I want them to be good league champions.
Fine. Can I put the second half of my question, Austin, please? Why did you show such alacrity to join them after such vituperative criticism of them over the years?
Hello, mate. It'd take me half an hour to explain those 2 words for a start. As I've already said, they are a top club. When the job's offered to you of a top club, then obviously it's got to be considered. You want to get there, you want to get on with it, you want to be associated with the best in your profession. You want to be associated personally with the best producer, the best everything in your profession. I want to be associated with the best players and the best club. And Leeds are just that.
That's why it's got me as chairman. Peter Cooper of the Daily Mirror.
Brian, how anxious are you to have Leeds United liked?
I'm so anxious that I'd be prepared to finish second instead of first.
But on league positions, if I may, Austin, Leeds have never finished a season below 4th. You pretended the other day that you weren't aware of this. I'm sure you were. How do you live now and perhaps during the season with the thought that people are going to say, if this fella Clough finishes 5th with Leeds, he has not done as well as Don Revie?
I've never thought of finishing anywhere for a start, but that obviously is an inevitable thing that will arise. But I would prefer you not to, you know, prejudge 9 months. Come and ask me that when I've finished 5th. I think that's a fair answer to a question, you know, which is a little bit hypothetical.
But how much does it nag you, the thought that
it doesn't nag me at all.
People are mindful of this 4th position?
Well, I don't know whether they are mindful, Peter, to be very fair, and it hasn't nagged me that much because I've honestly never ever thought of it. If I thought that Bremner and Co. could finish or will finish 5th, we would have talked about it this morning. But I don't think they will, and I believe they can win something next season and win it very well.
Gentlemen, like the cunning chairman that I am, I've got myself the last word. We wish you, Brian, and Leeds United every success, and from all of us here, it's good night.
Clough came in, he said, right, you fucking lot. As far as I'm concerned, all those medals you've won, you can get them and throw them in that bin over there. That was his starting thing. Norman Hunter, you're the dirty bastard, he says. And everybody likes to be liked. And you'd like to be liked, wouldn't you? Norman said, I couldn't give a fuck. Me, you're the dirty bastard as well. You go over the ball. I said, oh. Eddie Gray says, if you'd have been a horse, you'd have been put down years ago. But I think this was Clough's way. The way he worked was dominate you, and then he's okay. But we just won the league. We were an experienced team. We were very proud of what we did, the medals we won and everything else. And he's telling us to throw him in the bin over there. So he never got off first base.
Well, I might as well tell you now. You lot may all be internationals and have won all the domestic honours there are to win under Don Revie. But as far as I'm concerned, the first thing you can do for me is to chuck all your medals and all your caps and all your pots and all your pans into the biggest flipping dustbin you can find, because you've never won any of them fairly. You've done it all by bloomin' cheating. Mr. William Bremner, you're the captain, and a good one. But you're no good to the team and you're no good to me if you're suspended. I want you fit for every game, and I want good, clean, attractive football from my captain, starting next week at the Charity Shield. And you, Irishman, God gave you skill, intelligence and the best passing ability in the game. What God did not give you was 6 studs to wrap around another player's knee. Now, things are going to be a little different around here without Don. Might feel a little strange at first, might pinch a little like a new pair of shoes. But if you want your grandchildren to remember you as being something other than the dirty beggars you once were, if you want to be loved as real champions, worthy champions, you're going to have to work and improve and change.
Zoo time, is she a new time? The mammals are your favorite time. You burning water tonight. Heartbeat, increasing heartbeat. You hear the thunder of stampeding rhinos, elephants and tacky tigers. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. Tell me who's gonna leave.
Brian Clough there, you notice, applauding Bill Shankly. It's Shankly's moment, and Brian Clough well aware of that fact.
number 12, the man who mesmerised Chelsea in the 1970 Cup final. Paul Madeley got a knock against Villa in midweek and so is out of the side. Otherwise, the first choice side that won the championship. The Liverpool team, which includes also an interesting number 12, Phil Borsma. Otherwise, it's their first choice side. This season, rather. And it's a sunshine start to the new season. Gray. Keegan, good save, but it's going to go in and has gone. Well, he was unlucky, David Harvey. He made a very good save from Keegan, and I must say that goal very, very reminiscent of the goal by which Liverpool beat Leeds at Anfield in March of last season. Who will actually get the credit? Well, frankly, at this moment, your guess is as good as mine. It ricocheted around. It was Keegan's shot. And it may well have flicked off Bill Borsma. Hughes. Ball squirming his way through. He could have found Cormac. And then Harvey would have been committed in the wrong spot. But the pressure's still on. Suspicious looking handball, but I think it hit hand rather than the other way. And that looked very much like a right hook by Johnny Giles. Keegan, the player, down. But up rather quickly. Well, the name certainly going into the book. And going off. Free kick never on, and as that ball goes past, the figure all in white is Duncan McKenzie. And now what? More trouble off the ball. Meanwhile, Alan Clark limps off, looking a rather sad figure. And Kevin Keegan having words with the referee. It rather looks as though the referee has taken stronger action this time. Keegan, who was sent off in Germany when it was a case of mistaken identity, and he's off here. Isles and Bremner's off as well. Bremner is off as well. They're both throwing their shirts down, and really this is a side of English football, a face of English football we do not want to see. What do the players think they are doing? Pretty calm. Jordan went in on it and it seemed to go loose. And in comes McQueen, for what reason I can't imagine, and this is what's wrong with the play. It's all right a player making a genuine challenge, but when others get involved in situations that have nothing to do with them, that's when the real trouble comes. Nicely played by Callaghan. Here's Borsma. Highway just right of the penalty spot. Hall further over. Lorimer. Cherry. Oh, he took up such a good back to some football. The players have been trying to pick the game up after it appeared to have been killed stone dead. And Trevor Cherry was looking for that so well. And from Lorimer's cross, got the nick in to give Clements no chance. Smith. Highway. Oh, what a shot, he really hit that. Waiting. Giles. But the way in which they went. And a penalty competition it's going to be. Goal to our right at the end of the players' tunnel. The linesman already in position to check that the goalkeeper doesn't move. Bob Mathewson coming up. And alongside him, Peter Lorimer. So Peter Lorimer against Ray Clements. One nothing to Leeds United. Alec Lindsay now against David Harvey. One apiece. Johnny Giles and a lot of whistles for him. Two-1 to Leeds. Emlyn Hughes. Now to try his luck against David Harvey. Well, we're seeing a number of different types of penalties. That was the blaster. Before that, we saw Johnny Giles place it. Two apiece. Eddie Gray the next to go. But it can't be taken. A kick of very different style to that of Emlyn Hughes. Brian Hall, the job of making it 3-3. Which he does very comfortably. The penalty kicking so far of a very high standard. Brian Clough smiling, the two goalkeepers exchanging pleasantries. And Mr. Back to legs himself, Norman Hunter. (4-3). Norman Hunter, who played here in 1965 in the cup final, being followed by another player who did so on the opposite side, of course, Tommy Smith. Four apiece. So Trevor Cherry coming up for the last of Leeds' 5 penalties. If there's no verdict, then we go into sudden death. Once the side is established in front, that's it. But if Cherry was to miss this, Liverpool would still have to take number 5. Spot making the ball look a little bit flat, but it's not, although it's been hammered a fair bit in this penalty competition. Clements not too far away from that. 5-4. The goalkeepers might be wondering whether they'll end up taking penalties against each other. Peter Cormack with Liverpool's number 5 in all possible senses, wearing number Lancashire taking their 5th penalty to take us into sudden death. Well, at this rate, we could be here all night. The goalkeeper's looking to see who comes next. Well, they have a special union, of course. Oh, it looks as though Harvey is going to take against Clements. Well, there was a Charity Shield match in which Pat Jennings scored against Alex Stepney, but that was in a normal 90 minutes and from a goal kick, from a clearance. But Clements still has to take his. That's not it. Oh, what a lovely picture. And in fact, Callaghan is coming up to take. So Clements not being given the responsibility. So Ian Callaghan, the footballer of the year, with the chance to give Liverpool the Charity Shield. Which he does. Bill Shankly congratulating Bob Paisley first. The players congratulating Callaghan. So the cup winners beat the league champions, and the last time that happened was in 1962 when Spurs beat Ipswich. And those two have met many times before, Emlyn Hughes and Bill Shankly. And except for the most staunch Leeds United supporters, I think there will be a certain feeling that it's nice for Bill Shankly to have won the last time he was here. So Emlyn Hughes comes up to collect the Charity Shield from the former president of FIFA, Sir Stanley Rouse. Hat on again. There were plenty of those going around at Wembley last May. Well, a happy end. Sir Stanley Rouse there. Ted Croker. Mr. Smith, the chairman of Liverpool Football Club. T.B. Williams, the president, Mr. Cross, also on the board. Bill Boersma, consolation for him for missing the final. Alec Lindsay, Peter Cormack, Ray Clements. So Liverpool prepared to go on yet another lap of honour, and Bill Shankly will go with them if his supporters will let him do so. Peter Cormack, who really had a very fine game indeed. Everybody wants to get round Bill Shankly. So Bill Shankly breaks into a jog trot to take away the last trophy that Liverpool can win under his managership. Takes the Charity Shield into the dressing room. Won in a penalty competition after the score at the end of 90 minutes was 1-1.
They say they want to bring me in guilty for the killing of a deputy, for the life of a deputy. But I say I shot the sheriff. but I swear it was in self-defense. I shot the sheriff, and they say it is a capital offense.
Your conduct in the Charity Shield match was deplorable and cannot be tolerated. We understand Leeds United are taking disciplinary action against you internally. However, the Football Association has to be seen to make an example. We have therefore decided to impose a fine of £500.
Thank you.
And a suspension until September the 30th.
What? September 30th? That's over a month. That's 6 bloody weeks.
I'll make it 7 if you carry on with language like that.
Come on! Double the fine, treble it, anything. Just don't suspend him for that long.
Gentlemen.
He's my captain. Hey, he's the best player I've got.
There's a ghost in my house. The ghost of your memory. The ghost of the love you took from me. Where our love used to be. Only shadows from the past I see. Time can't seem to erase the vision of your smiling face. Though you found something new, I can't get over you. There's a ghost in my...
Mahoney in, tries the shot, left foot in, beautiful goal! John Mahoney! 1-0! Really all started by Hudson in midfield. 2 passes later, Mahoney onto it, comes past Bremner and wham the left foot. 1-0 Stoke. Hazelgrave. Caught then by Madeley. Cooper. Giles. Giles having an outstanding game, giving this ball away. Bremner. Hudson has to slow it down because there's not much support up there. Salmons takes over. Again, he slows it down. Paychick for Hudson. And now Stoke do have the men forward. Hazelgrave's one of them, and touch then for Greenough. And a deflection. A deflection took it away from Dave Harvey, but it's 2-0. Jimmy Greenough signals his satisfaction that the ball goes in the net. The break then coming from the left side. Hazelgrave knocking it forward. Greenough placing his shot hard and a strong, solid deflection. I think from Cherry took it away from Dave Harvey. It's 2-0 Stoke. Free kick finally to Stoke. Jackie Marsh to take it. Well, the crowd wanting another goal from Stoke now. I think we said earlier that the three games that Stoke have won here on their own ground against Leeds have all been scored by 3 goals, and there's Greenough charging in. Reaney is there first. The last 2 occasions it's been 3-2. Back in 67-68 it was 3-0. At the moment it's 2-0 to Stoke. As Cooper takes it for Leeds. Jordan. Jordan, who hasn't had too much luck in this game. Replacing Clark, Jones, whichever one you care to pick out. And Hudson breaks. The support on his right is from Ritchie. He's got to watch the offside, that's all. Wasn't quite long enough for Ritchie. He's in with the shot, and he is 3-0! We wanted that third goal, and we got it. John Ritchie as the crowd erupts. Well, I think that was sheer tiredness by Leeds. But let Hudson in, down the middle of the park. A knock ball at John Ritchie, and this veteran, superb striker. That's goal number 3 for Stoke.
Get down, beat her down. Down, down, beat her down. Down, down, beat her down. Get down.
Bell. Hartford. Doyle. And Clark this time is onside. McRae coming to meet him, and Clark is round him 1-1. You can't give Alan Clark chances like that. As deadly a finisher as there is in the First Division. McQueen, seized on by Tuart. Away from Hunter. He's got Bell on his right. Bell coming in now. Beautiful goal!
Good evening. Tonight the football world was stunned by the shock news that after only 7 weeks in the job, Brian Clough has been sacked as manager of Leeds United. It's been claimed that the footballers passed a vote of no confidence in him, and certainly today the board took the shock decision that Clough must go. Tonight on this live calendar special, we're talking not only to Brian Clough himself, but also to the man that he succeeded as manager of Britain's most successful football team, to Don Revie, the England manager. But Brian Clough, first of all. Brian, what's your reaction to being booted out in this fashion?
Oh, it's a very sad reaction. Obviously, to be sacked, as you profoundly put it, and the only way you could put it, is a very sad one. It's a very sad one for me personally, and I also believe a very sad one from Leeds Football Club's angle and from the Leeds City.
Do you feel that you were given a chance in the job?
Well, 7 weeks is hardly a long time to be given a chance in any job. I would hope that Mr. Revie would get a lot longer time in his job.
Well, you began with very high hopes. We talked on a programme here only a few weeks back. When did you first realise that it wasn't going to work out?
Oh, I didn't realise it at all. I was always convinced, right up until tonight, that it was going to work out. It was inevitable. To replace the best manager on record, or by record, in the Football League, then obviously Leeds had to get somebody that was, you know, slightly special. I don't want to be blasé conceited, but I'm not sure who they could have got to improved on his record.
You were the best man for the job, you thought?
I believed I was, and obviously the Leeds board did.
Well, why didn't it work out? What was the main single thing that went wrong?
Results. In 7 weeks, you know, there is not a lot of time to become established. When you've taken over a job of a man that's been there 10, 15 years, and he's been regarded as the kingpin, as the father figure, as the man that made everything tick, then within 7 weeks it is impossible, utterly impossible, to replace that type of thing. If the results had gone a bit better, then obviously it would have been easier. But due to circumstances, due to the fact that were inherited suspensions, and little Billy was sent off and banned for a long time, and Paul Madeley's injury and that type of thing, you know, the results weren't as good as should have been.
OK, well, let's turn to Don Revie. Do you consider that it was in fact possible to step into your shoes, to replace you?
Being very, very honest, I think it was a very difficult job for anybody to do. But I do feel that the players at Leeds United that won the championship last year to possibly go on and do things this year.
Well, was Brian Clough the man that you would have picked to succeed you?
Austin, don't start jumping the gun. You ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. I think the players were there to do the job. Now, whether after 6 matches they're going to be judged on 6 matches, I don't know. But all I can say is that I was with these players, most of them, for 10, 11 years. I was manager for 13 and a half, and I basically think that they're good enough to win a trophy this season. Last season, we had an awful lot of injuries and suspensions, and we played without 4 and 5 and 6 players right from the very first match. I knew the players. Clough, as he calls me Revy, didn't know them. And I knew how to handle them and how to juggle them about, and he didn't have time to do that. But the players are there, and they're dedicated professionals, and I had no trouble with them for 13 and a half years.
Well, in saying that the team was good enough, you're making an implied criticism of Brian Clough. Do you think Brian Clough was the man for the job?
That is entirely Leeds United's director's opinion.
What's your personal opinion?
My personal opinion, as I stated at the time, before Brian took the job, I won't call him Clough because I wouldn't take him down like that, because I think it's a sad night for anybody to get the sack as a manager in any football, in any job. Nobody likes to see this happening in football at all. I openly stated, before anybody took the job, when I took the England job, that I felt that Johnny Giles was the man for the job. Only because he knew our system, he knew how I worked, he knew how the staff worked, he knew how the players reacted to things. He knew everything, because he travelled all over Europe with us, he played in matches, a great player, great thinker of the game, and I recommended him to Leeds because...
But if I can interrupt there, does that mean that he was going to carry on in the Revy tradition, that he was going to be a manager much as you've been?
No, I felt, well, Tottenham must feel that because they've taken Terry Neal, but he was in an interview for the last 2 or 3 for the job at Tottenham. Now, I've never talked to Bill Nick about him. But Johnny Giles, I felt, he's proved it with Era. He went to Brazil with them and did well. He played in South America, he's done well with their team. I only passed a personal opinion. Whether the Leeds United directors wanted to take it or not was entirely up to the Leeds United directors. I could only recommend him for the job. They didn't take him. They went for Brian. So I can't do any more than that.
Well, what, in effect, I read in that is that you weren't the right man to step into this legacy that Don Revie had left at Leeds.
No, Austin. No. You were totally out of order there. What you take out of that is totally untrue. What I said, that I recommended Johnny Giles for the job before anybody else was recommended at all. Before anybody's name was mentioned, I recommended Johnny Giles for Leeds United's job.
Well, apart from your own respect for your own abilities, Brian Clough, would you say that you were the right man to step into the kind of legacy Don Revie had left?
That's a very difficult question. It's like saying, you know, if religion goes out of our way of life, who takes over
but it's
from
saying
religion?
that your style is very different from his style.
My
and to players used to Don Revie's style, it might have been upsetting.
My style's not different at all in the sense that I wanted success and I believed I could deliver it, and my methods, 99% or 90% the same as Mr. Revie's. My style was exactly the same. Management is 90% right throughout the country, irrespective of who the manager is. It's the extra 10% that's the special bit.
But look, over the years, Leeds United have been run almost like a family, like sons of Don Revie. Now, didn't you, in fact, go in and upset them, unsettle them, by going in for a big buying policy?
Well, a big buying policy, I'm not sure. What I did was, I bought a wing half to replace Eddie Gray, who there's grave doubts about his future. I was informed when I took over Leeds that Mick Jones could possibly not be fit for the rest of the season, at the very earliest February or March. So I bought a reserve centre forward in John O'Hare, and all of Leeds know he is a very talented player. Now what I also did was, I tried to provide a little bit of striking power added to Leeds' machine, as I once called Don's team. He wasn't very happy with it, but it was a machine, superbly machine, and a superbly oiled one, but it was a machine. And I added Duncan McKenzie to it because I knew up front we were a little bit thin with Peter Lorimer, Joe Jordan and Alan Clark. So the fact of big buying wasn't big buying in the sense...
You don't think it was unsettling for the players?
Oh, it could have been slightly upsetting because they've been there so long. And 1 or 2 of them are getting on to 32, 33, possibly even 34.
OK, well, Don Revie, would you have gone in for this kind of buying? Or would you have worked it in more cautiously?
Well, first of all, let me answer Brian's question about them getting old and about injuries and one thing and another. As I said already, we had this all last season. But what you must remember is this, that team was written off by the press and television in 70, when we missed three tournaments, in 71, in 72, and in 73, when we lost against Sunderland and AC Milan, they all said, that's it. they're finished, they're over the hill, they're too old, and this, that and the other. And last season, with all these injuries and all these suspensions to Alan Clark and Norman and all these people, we only lost 4 matches out of 42 and won the championship. And they went 29 matches from the beginning of the season without defeat.
Well, are you saying in that Brian Clough's buying was not necessary?
No. Austin, would he
Hang
just
on.
please
That
give me
was
a chance?
incredible.
Would he
What
just
the man
please?
said
Okay, well,
was incredible.
let him finish.
Right?
Yes.
Now then, if Brian felt after 3 months, I would have given them personally 3 months to settle down and play as they're capable of playing.
Don, even with Billy's eight-match suspension?
Yes, I'd have had Terry Yorth, I'd have had Mick Bates, I'd have had Joe Jordan, I'd have had Frankie Gray. He had 4 very well-classed players there in the making. But I juggled about last year.
Yeah.
Frankie Gray, whether you think Frankie Gray's a good player or not.
Well, world-class, you said.
Yeah, well, I think world-class. If he got the chance, Brian, I think he could be world-class.
Yes.
And I think that I played Terry Yorth up front. This is what I'm saying. You didn't get the chance to see them. I knew them. I played Terry Yorth up front alongside Joe Jordan. I played Terry Yorth midfield. I played him at full-back. I played him at sweeper. I played Mick Bates up front. I played Frankie Gray up front at outside left. Now, these players I felt should have had a chance.
Yes.
Possibly,
Don, where didn't they get a chance? Terry had Terry had a tummy bug, enteritis, I think they call it, and he was out. He was in bed for 10 days.
Yeah, but he still had Mick Bates and Joe Jordan and Frankie Gray who didn't play at all, Brian. And the thing is, Mick Bates...
Yes, I'm sorry.
Terry Yorth and Frankie Gray.
Yeah.
Now, I feel that the unsettling part came when he didn't give these lads a chance, and quite rightly, a manager's got to stand and fall by his decisions.
Oh, yes.
Every time, whether he's going to buy, whether he's going to have team selection, what he's going to have, he's got to stand and fall by what he says and what he does. And Brian decided to go in the market. Whether it was unsettling to the players, I don't know.
Well, the question then arises, was Brian Clough allowed to stand or fall by his decisions? Was he given time to carry through his policies? Was he given the backing that he needed from the team to do what he wanted?
I would prefer you to say the board of directors to that, because the team don't dictate that much. The team can have a vote of confidence or that type of thing. The team are the be-all and end-all regarding the results on the field. But regarding the confidence, it's essential to have the confidence, but the men who make the decisions are directors in football.
Well, let's start with the team first of all.
Well,
because are you sure that that team was playing its best for you?
Oh, I'm absolutely certain.
With results like that?
Oh, results like that, of course they were playing their best. They couldn't do anything else. It was second nature to them.
Thank you. Let me ask you a question. How long have you lived in Leeds?
5 years.
5 years.
And I've never seen such a disastrous start to the season.
But have you ever seen a Leeds United team ever, and the present team and starting off of this season, ever not try? They might have bad times, they might miss open goals, but never ever you accuse or insinuate that a Leeds United side never tried. Because there's never a player going out on that pitch with a white shirt on that's never tried. He might have a bad game, he might miss open goals, he might do bad things, but never not try.
OK, well, I accept that, but there have been claims that there was, in fact, a vote of no confidence or something amounting to that passed by the players. Is that in fact correct?
That is absolutely correct.
Well, how did you react to that?
Oh, I wanted to be sick. Oh, I wanted to be sick. If you had a vote of no confidence with the people you work with, that I would assume you would react exactly the same. I felt sick.
What was the main reason for it, do you think?
I don't know what the main reason was. I think, the fact that I didn't have time to get to know them and this type of thing. I do believe, honestly, that whoever had walked in would have had the same thing. Plus the fact that all the other incidentals went against it, i.e. results and that type of thing, which I've already pointed out are the main thing.
But let's stay with this point of the vote of no confidence. How do you react to players, in effect, passing a vote of no confidence in the manager after such a short period?
I honestly feel, knowing Leeds United players, as long as I've known them, they must have had a very good reason to do that. No respect to Brian, I must feel and say what I feel about Leeds United players. They must have had a very good reason to do that. Why? I don't know. I had enough problems on my hand with the England job.
Whatever the reasons, do you condone players acting in that kind of fashion? Doesn't it make a manager's job impossible?
No, I do not condone players at all doing that in any club, because I think it's totally wrong, and I think directors are long to listen to it. But I can't understand why the Leeds United players, if Brian's true what he's saying, if they voted a no confidence vote in you, Brian.
Not exactly a vote, but the feeling was there, yes. No, a vote's a very strong word, but the feeling was definitely there.
Well, how far was that kind of feeling there? Because, in a sense, you've been critical of Don Revie himself. We had a programme here a few weeks back on which you were implicitly critical of Don Revie. You said the contracts unsigned. Now, is that the right kind of line to take to a man stepping into the shoes of a revered manager?
Now, if you're asking me now, did I make mistakes? The answer is yes. I am not infallible. I definitely made mistakes. Having said that, when you say that I criticised Don Revie about unsigned contracts, I stated a fact that there were, when I took over, 11 contracts not signed. Now, if it was Don's fault, if it was the chairman's fault, if it was the player's fault, that's immaterial for this particular argument. There were 11 contracts not signed. That is fact.
Well, Don Revie, you saw that programme and the accusation. What was your reaction to it?
Yes, and Austin, I phoned up that night.
Yes.
And asked you if I could face Brian the following night, and I got no reply. Talking about the 11 contracts that were unsigned, all contracts were basically agreed in the minutes with the directors of what each player was going to get. Brian is possibly right, the contracts weren't signed, not by 11, I would say by 5 or 6. And all these things were agreed in the minutes, that these contracts were agreed, and I'd agreed with players. And all players have signed blank contracts from me for 13 and a half years. And I've never had one scrap of trouble, ever, with one player throughout 13 and a half years with contracts. And why they weren't carried out and signed and sent off by the secretary, I will never know.
Well,
now, on that same programme, Brian said that there was no warmth in the club. Now, that really shook me.
Did I say no warmth?
You said no warmth in Leeds United. Now, that was the closest thing that any relationship between players and manager and staff have ever had.
Did I say no warmth between me and them, or no warmth in the club?
You said no warmth in the club, Brian.
I don't remember. If I did say it, then obviously the warmth that you generated between you and the players, that can't be taken away.
Never.
That's ridiculous.
Never ever.
Can't be taken away.
Well, as an experienced manager, Don Revie, what do you think was wrong with Brian Clough's approach to Leeds as a manager?
Now, that's asking for me to do something that I know nothing at all about. I've known Brian a long time. What his approach is as a manager, I've never played under him, I've never worked under him. That is impossible for me to answer.
You see, you have different styles as managers, and it's generally believed, I don't know with what accuracy, that you don't get on particularly well. Now, why is that, Brian Clough?
Well, when I was a manager of Derby County and I was in direct conflict with Don Revie and his Leeds side, it's natural I didn't get on with him, because invariably they were above us. That's the flippant answer. Having said that, I believe in a different concept of football to Don. I think. I believe that it can be played slightly different to the way Don plays it and get the same results. Now that might mean, you know, aiming for utopia, and it might mean being a little bit stupid, but that is the way I am. I'm a little bit stupid regarding this type of thing. I'm a little bit of an idealist. I do believe in fairies, and that is my, outlook. Now, Don's slightly different, and his record proves over results that he perhaps is right. But having said that, I want to be like me.
Well,
Don obviously wants to be like him.
Is this question of style the reason why the two of you don't get on?
Well, I don't know. I think that, truthfully, Brian is a fool to himself. I must be very, very honest here. I honestly feel that he's criticised Matt Busby, Bertie me personally, Norman Hunter, Peter Lorimer, Billy Bremner, Peter Story. He's criticised so many people in the game whose records stand to be seen. He's criticised so many people. This is his style. If he wants to be that style, fair enough. But I think that is totally, totally wrong for the game of professional football. He says about honesty and things like this. But when you talk about honesty, if honesty is going to destroy the game, then you're in all kinds of trouble. I think you're doing the game a great disservice.
Yes, I would.
In other words, the accusation is that you're trying to shoot your mouth off about.
So now when you talk about...
I would agree completely.
Let me answer this question first. He talked about winning the championships better or differently. Our record is there to be seen for 11 years.
Yes.
Right? The first 4 to 5 years, I've always said this, we played for results. The last 4 to 5 years, we've been the most entertaining side by crowd entertainment and topping charts with national newspapers and television.
Also, Don, the disciplinary chart.
The disciplinary chart...
You topped that.
We topped that once.
Well, you topped it for the last 2 or 3 years.
No, that's not true. It wasn't 100% right, I will agree.
Sorry?
It wasn't 100% right, discipline on the field, and last year we straightened it out.
Well, it was. You were the top.
Yeah. But when you see, Brian, when you talk about coming to take the Leeds job, and you had all these things and all these worries about stepping in my shoes and one thing and another.
Which I had.
Yes, you had. But why did you come from Brighton to Leeds to take it over when you'd criticised them so much and said we should be in the second division for this and we should do this and we should do that? Why do you take the job?
No, because I thought it was the best job in the country.
Of course it was the best job in the country.
I was taking over the league champions.
Yeah, you were taking over the league champions. You were taking over the best bunch of players that you've ever seen.
Well, I didn't know about the players, Don.
You didn't know?
I didn't know them intimately like you do. But I know you were the league champions, and I was taking over the league champions. I wanted to have a crack at the European Cup this year.
Yes.
I think that was near and dear to your heart also.
Yeah. Yes.
I wanted to win it. I wanted to do something you hadn't done. Now, when I think I said it to Trevor Cherry actually, or mostly the players, he said to me, what can you do that the boss hadn't done? You, the boss, referring to you. And I said, I want to win the league, but I want to win it better. Now, there is no other reply to that question.
No, but
because you had won the league.
Yeah, but there's no way you could win it better.
Why not?
No.
But that's the only hope I've got.
We'd only lost 4 matches.
But I can only lose 3.
No.
I couldn't give any other answer. And I wanted to win the European Cup. I believe that it was just a fraction, Don. A fraction. I don't know this because I've not spoken to you. But I believe it was a fraction whether you took the England job or had another shot at the European Cup.
That is totally true, because I was so involved with the players and everybody at Elden.
Good lad. Now, I wanted to do that, and I want to do it better than you. You can understand that, can't you?
Yes, and I think if you'd said that to our players, then you would have got the message across.
I couldn't say that to our players, as you say. I couldn't say that to our players just as a bold statement. You see, when I went in there was friction. There was unhappiness.
Friction? What do you mean friction?
There was unhappiness because you'd gone an unsigned contract.
No. But when you walked in, tell me this, when you walked in, did you have a meeting the first day with them?
No.
Why?
Because I didn't think it was necessary to have a meeting the very first day.
So you were taking over as manager of a new club.
Yes.
And you don't call all your players and your coaching staff and your office staff together.
No.
And introduce yourself and meet them and tell them exactly what you feel and what you want to try and do.
Don, the first day I walked in, I came back from holiday and I did 2 hours training with them.
Irrespective of what you do,
I went out on the field with them.
Right, you went out on the field. My immediate reaction to any job, the same at the Football Association, I got 70 people together and went to a cocktail party and I introduced myself to them.
That is your way.
And I talked about Ramsey's record. I talked how great Ramsey was.
Yes.
His record as a professional man. I never got close to Ramsey. He was a cold man. But as a professional
I think you are.
As a cold man?
Yes.
Oh, don't ask our players that. Or they'll laugh their socks down.
Well, that's opinion.
No, well, that's opinion. But Alf Ramsey, I thought, did a good job. And I thought it was important to me to introduce myself to everybody in the Football Association offices.
You didn't.
And I thought it was your duty, when you walked into Leeds United's ground, everybody's saying, well, Brian Clough's arriving today.
Yes.
We'd love to
But
meet
you didn't have a training session.
How long did you wait then? No. How long did you wait? Irrespective of training sessions or anything, Brian, training sessions didn't mean anything your first day.
Why?
How could training sessions overcome meeting everybody in the club?
It couldn't overcome
it. would have taken you 10 minutes to get everybody together as a group and say, I'm pleased to meet you. I'm pleased to come to the club
I
like this.
walked into the dressing room and shook hands with Billy Bremner the very first second
Brian,
I walked in.
Brian,
No, hang on, I did.
No, don't edge. Why didn't you get everybody together?
Because I didn't think it was necessary.
Why?
Because I thought that I would do it more subtly and different instead of having everybody bang, bang, bang. They were all on edge. I was on edge.
So you could have put them at ease.
No, hang on. How?
By going in and talking to them.
Oh, talk to them? I took the shirts off the backs after they'd finished training.
I used to do that and massage them on a Thursday.
Of course. Well, that was my approach, of course.
But you didn't meet everybody the first day.
I shook hands and said hello. Met them.
Everybody? Did you go to the laundry ladies? Did you go to the office staff?
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
Did you go to the groundsman?
No, I didn't have time to do that, Don. It was players.
You must have had to.
I only takes 10 minutes. Here because we're getting towards the end. I want to ask, what's your reaction to a board that doesn't back you up, that sacks you after 7 weeks?
I haven't had time to know them either. Just as I believe I haven't had time to do the job.
What's your reaction to the board?
My reaction to the board is very, very mixed. And my reaction to the board is so mixed up. I don't believe they've done Leeds Football Club a service. I don't care whether it's me or whoever it was. I'm talking about a manager. I don't believe they've done football a service. I think they've struck a blow to send us back, you know, back in the dark ages. I think if the Football Association, who employ Mr. Revy, sack him if he loses his first match, I think they will set football back 30 years or 50 years. In turn, I believe that Leeds perhaps have done that a little bit also. Manny Cousins was under a lot of pressure. He was my chairman. If he didn't stand up to it as much as he should have done, that's a matter of debate. But he was under a lot of pressure. And he, today, when the final decision was made, and it was a board decision, he then made it right with me regarding a lot of things. As he made it right with this guy
before you go on, Brian
for
Clough,
15 years.
What's going to happen now to Brian Clough?
Oh, a million things are going to happen to Brian Clough. I'm going to have 48 hours or 3 days, or I don't know. I think, and please don't think I'm being flippant, I've had many ambitions in life, and one of the ambitions is, and I wanted this when I was manager of Leeds and manager of Derby, I wanted to coach the England youth. I just might apply to this guy.
Well, aren't you going to be in a very difficult situation? Because after the argument with Derby, you left Brighton under a cloud, and now this with Leeds. Who's going to touch you with a barge pole, as it were?
Well, I think many people have touched me with a barge pole, because the whole country now, including Leeds, and you've heard it in Don's own mouth tonight, I do not think 7 weeks. 7 weeks is not enough time to even find out where the local butcher shop is.
OK, well, what happens to Leeds United now? What do you see as being their future?
Well, obviously they'll prosper. I hope they'll prosper. Despite the fact they've only been involved with them 7 weeks, you've got to hope they prosper. I hope everybody in football prospers. I hope they go on to win the European Cup.
Don Revie, what's your feeling about Brian Clough's personal position
You are
tonight?
a terrible
how do you
man
feel for him?
For interrupting that.
Well,
I
we're
hope
coming to the end, and I
Leeds
have to interrupt.
win the European Cup.
What's your feeling personally about Brian Clough's personal situation?
Well, naturally, anybody who's been sacked in football, you feel a little bit sad for. But whether Brian's going about it the right way, I don't know, because I wasn't there. But if Leeds United players have had a meeting with Brian and the chairman, there must have been something totally wrong.
OK, well, gentlemen, there we must leave it after what's been a tragic day for Leeds United supporters, of which I number myself one. Gentlemen, thank you very much, and good night.
The throw take on Lorimer to Giles. McQueen! Yes! Yes, it went in and came out. Gordon McQueen. Back header by Cahoon, putting Franks under pressure, and Clark can get it. Clark has got it. See anything so weird and wonderful in your life? Four. Up for Jonas. Jonas presumably accused of either ungentlemanly conduct or talking too much. A free kick has been awarded to Sheffield United. Up for Dearden. Yes! A goal! The bizarre events of this match continue.
It's just one of those things you put down to experience. Dreamer.
Brian, it's a delight to have you with us. I don't know which of your many quotes to start with, but it's been a very venturesome 12 months for you, because it's now, what, just over 12 months since you left Derby. Would you like to rewrite the last 12 months a bit, completely, or what?
No, it would take me many years. It's been a nightmare on a lot of occasions, obviously, and after 12 months to find yourself out of work is not very pleasant.
Do you think of yourself today as out of work?
Oh, literally, of course. My profession is managing a football club, and at the moment I'm not doing that, so obviously I'm out of work.
But you could be managing a football club, couldn't you? I mean, you've had a couple of offers since Leeds, haven't you?
Yes, I've had a couple of offers, but right at this particular time, I'm not in employment regarding football, so I'm out of work.
What sort of offers have you had so far?
I had a job to do a local radio programme.
Really?
Aye. They told me they've got some great personalities involved in the local radio programme down here. No, I've had a few offers, here and there.
I've just realised what
Has
you're
it
talking
clicked?
about. Yes.
Good lad.
I thought you were talking about a local programme in Derby. You were talking
No.
about my local radio.
Yes.
But no, but in terms of... we got there. But you know, the thing is, in terms of soccer, what have been the couple of offers in soccer so far?
Just a couple of inquiries to whether I was available to go back into football management. Not in First Division. They've been in the second and the... one in the second and one in the third.
One in the second and one in the third.
Yes.
Would you go back anything other than the first division?
No, it's not a case of going back into, you know, making set things whether to go back in the first or second. I just wouldn't go back into football right at this present time, and not for many months to come. The last time I was employed, I rather got my fingers burnt.
Right.
I walked around, I was going around like that for weeks. I wasn't there very long at Leeds, and the sack, you know, really hit me right between the eyes.
How did it happen? I mean, how does someone who employed you 40-odd days earlier give you the sack? Does he say...
well, it's very special. It's very special, the
Must
men
be.
with the ability to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
Because 44 days ago, before I got the sack, they were saying that they hoped I was there for life. And then 44 days ago, they're saying, well, you know, I'm not quite sure whether we've made the right decision. And I said to them, well, I said, I'm absolutely certain I've made the wrong decision with you bloody lot. And it went on those type of lines.
I see. And did he actually say in the end, Mr. Cousins, did he actually say, you're sacked?
Oh, no, it's never done as brutal as that. That would be far too forthright, that would be far too literally to the point. I could have coped with that type of thing quite easily. Because in football management, you live with a sack. You live with the thought of it in the back of your mind. And if it hits you between the eyes with those very words, you don't really mind. You've attuned to it and, you know, built up a resistance to it over the years. It's done a little bit more subtle, it's done with a smile, it's done with a, you know, you're sitting on a settee in perhaps in somebody's house. I'm assuming this is the way it's done. It's the first time it's happened to me.
Right, and this was how it's done in this particular
Yes.
case? And when did they tell you they were going to give you a golden handshake or whatever? At the same time?
Oh no, they didn't tell me. Then it was a case of the conditions that I would leave the club. Because I wasn't, you know, nobody sacks anybody and when they just lie down and die, not after 44 days. Nobody does that, David.
But they gave you this golden payoff afterwards, did they? Was there any consolation? Was that, you've said £98,000 or something?
It was something going on to that, you know. I paid a few bob tax, obviously. It was a consolation at the time, but never sufficient. Money's never sufficient for anything. Believe it or believe it not, it's never sufficient for anything.
Should you have known before you went that it would never work, or could you have made it work if you'd done it differently?
I could have made it work having had time. Obviously, it's inevitable I made a few mistakes during the 44 days.
What sort of mistake?
Well, perhaps I didn't give them chance enough to get over the guy that was there before me, because he was there for a long time. Perhaps I wanted to, you know, get with them the same feeling as they'd had with the other guy. I'm loath to mention him, you know, and if we can refrain from doing it, we'll do so.
It's really like the other House of Commons. You hate to mention him. Why?
I hate to mention him. Why? Because he's a very talented man and I don't like him. Don't ask me why. Because it is, that's exactly what. He's a very talented man and his record is unsurpassable. But I just don't happen to like him. And I don't like the way he goes about football either. Football is a game of opinion. There are people in your profession perhaps don't like the way you do your bit.
Sure.
And, you know, it makes the game go round. There's half the country don't like a Labour government. Just happens that the other half do.
Why don't you want me to ask why you don't like it?
Because I can't tell you. It's impossible. We'd get closed down, David.
Do you want to experiment?
No. No, I've got Brighton suing Leeds for breaking a contract.
Yes.
That I'm supposed to have broken, which I did, obviously, in certain aspects, but it was between Brighton and Leeds. You know, it was rather over my head. They were talking, I felt like one of these people that were sold many, many years ago in the market. You know, I was under contract to Brighton, Leeds came in and they were trying to settle compensation. It didn't quite work out, and then there's something going on in the background at the moment, court-wise, so it makes it rather difficult.
Slightly complicated. What about, you've had experience in the last year, or more than a year, but with 3 different chairmen, with Mr. Cousins, Mr. Bamber and Mr. Longson.
Yes.
Now, do chairmen have the same characteristics, or were they 3 very different men to deal with?
A couple of them had the same characteristics, because they were elderly gentlemen. Michael Bamber was a little bit different. He was more in my age bracket. He was more the one that, you know, thought my way. I wanted to get on my way. Because you've got to have communication between the people you work with. I don't know whether you know your gaffers intimately, but if you don't, then, you know, you better watch out, because you've got to know their problems. And, you know, when people get to 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, and you're perhaps not quite 40 yet, then you tend to see things differently. So the older chairmen mostly are the same. The younger ones are a little bit better and a little bit more on your wavelength.
But I mean, you obviously handled it very well with Mr. Sam Longson for several years at Derby. Did you lose your touch towards the end?
I'm certain I lost something in the relationship between him, because that was the crux of the whole matter. Mr. Longson and I worked remarkably well, but it was a stage we went through. He'd not had ever any success as a chairman of a football club. He'd never been chairman until I got there, for a start. And then everything boomed, of course. And he used to say to me, whatever we do, just win something for me. Because the gentleman was over 70. You know, and you're not looking for another 49 years when you get to 70. You want something very, very quickly. And of course we won something. Then having won it, and outside influences tended to change. Then he wanted, having won it, then he wanted to go all nice.
Wanted you to go all nice?
Yes.
And that was impossible?
It wasn't impossible, because I would have gone all nice if it allowed me to mature. You know, but I got the bit between my teeth. I wanted to get on with it.
Could you have held on? Could you have held on at Derby?
Oh, certainly. Most certainly. I resigned because I detected a change. Another gentleman came on the board, and I detected a change. They tried to stop the very thing that they'd pushed me into originally regarding selling the club, television, newspapers, all that type of thing. And they tried to channel me and put the dampers down on me, so to speak. They restricted me. You know, I just said I wasn't having it. I was young and I didn't want to be restricted. If they'd have come about 5 or 6 years later, I'm certain I'd have been at the stage where I'd have accepted it.
Looking back now, do you wish you'd tried to hold on at Derby?
I've had many, many regrets at leaving Derby. But having left and having made a decision, I wouldn't for 1 second tell you I'd made the wrong one.
Would you tell yourself you'd made the wrong one? But
I've asked myself many, many times, had I made the wrong one? And sometimes, depending on mood, I've come up and said, yes, you did. And sometimes, most times, I said no. Because at that time, you do believe in doing things that you believe you're right in doing. You know, when you get to about 45, 50, how old are you, David?
35.
Good lad. Well, you've got another 10 years to go.
Before this thing.
Yeah. And then you might feel, you know, that you perhaps have to calm down a little bit and do everything.
Because the thing that surprised me, as I said to you, I think we were talking about in the canteen at London Weekend, was how quickly you leapt into another job with the 3rd Division team at Brighton.
Yes.
When, as it turned out, a few weeks later, Manchester City was available, and I don't know who else was available. Was that a mistake?
It was a mistake, perhaps, jumping in so quickly, but I daren't tell you the very, very words I said to you at that particular question, but I couldn't bear sitting out of work, being on, you know, unemployed and sitting on my backside. I used a different word to you in actual fact.
For sitting? Yeah.
Yes. And I couldn't bear the thought of it. Having been involved so long, this word unemployed, you know, sends a shadow and a thing down your spine of great fear.
But is that why you did the nightclub stint this last week?
Oh no, I was kind of led into that. It started off with a testimonial game for a lad at Stoke in the first nightclub, and somebody came along and said, would you like to do another one? And I thought, well, you know, to broaden one's horizons, to get on with something, it won't do any harm at all, because my job is dealing with people. And you meet a hell of a lot of different people in a nightclub.
You've done it all. You've broken every code. Pulled the rebel to the floor. You spoke the game, no matter what you say. The only metal, what's a ball? Blue eyes, blue eyes. How can you tell so many lies? Come up and see me, make me smile. I'll do what you want, running wild. There's nothing left, all gone and run away. Maybe you'll tarry for a while. It's just a test, a game for us to play. Win or lose, it's hard to smile. Resist, resist. It's from yourself you have to hide. Oh, come up and see me to make this.
Powell. And can Suggett get that one? What a fine ball from the excellent left foot of Powell. There's McDougall. Peters. Oh, Martin Peters with his first goal for Norwich City. Forbes still up there over the far side. McDougall coming to the near post. Up goes Peters. Now Boy up. An unfortunate bit of play by Nottingham Forest. A lot of confidence about this side now. And they're passing really accurate. What a lovely ball to Suggett, who's left completely free. Now Boyer is really wide open. He must get three. It's a fine goal, and once again, Nottingham Forest paid the penalty for leaving Collins.
If you get the notion, you can't stop the groove, 'cause you just won't move. Got my sunroof down, got my diamond in the back. Put on your shaggy ring of woman if you thought I ain't coming back. Shame, shame, shame. Oh, shame on you, girl, if you can't dance too. I said shame, 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 shame. Shame on you, if you can't dance too. If you don't want to go, remember one monkey don't stop no show. My body needs action.
Brian Clough left a lot of great players here, and they're still here, and I hope they're still enjoying the football. It's a gradual sort of takeover as players get older. I've got to bring players in, and I can only be judged on bringing in the players. I bring in Bruce Reid to score goals, which he did, Francis Lee to entertain, to score goals.
Lee, interesting. Very interesting. Oh, look at his face.
I hope anybody's not stupid enough to write us off.
They say the day is ending. Let's watch the sun go down and plan a holiday for two. For all eternity, right across so you can see the world I created just for you. I saw you standing on the street. I wanted to meet you, stop a while. You give me smile to say hello.
1-0 scoreline to Nottingham Forest, and doomed, as it seems now, Derby County. Able to get the ball away, and Forest really can spring on here. This is Parker. Gainer up with him, and Clough, but Parker's going all the way himself. It's a terrific goal. A wonderful, but we know that Brian Clough's team is geared to counter-attack. But how often do you see a goal like Chapman? He can put Forest in front here, and he's done it. Webb. Carr is onside with a clear run at goal. Chapman! Richards forward, and Neil Webb is further forward, and in the under, there's Webb! A brilliant goal for Forest, and that's getting towards that 6-yard box. There's Nigel Clough again! It's another one! Father and son.
How can you be bottom of the Premier League?
Well, to be fair, it's kept me awake for about 4 or 5 nights in the last 3 months, every week. And I don't know how we're bottom of the Premier League, but we are bottom. And you've got to be realistic. We are bottom of the Premier League. It's as simple as that. And until we get away from the bottom, Raymond, people like you will continually and perpetually, and whatever the words are, will keep asking me these questions. But we've got to get away from the bottom of that league. I am sick of being bottom of that league.
I would like a place I could call my own. Have a conversation on the telephone. Wake up every day and I would be a star. I would not complain when my wounded heart. I was a short fuse, burning all the time.
I was accused by a guy called Sugar, who was a spib from London. I hope you keep that in.
Yeah, that's okay, that'll be kept.
It could be us that's not going to get sued.
And he accused me of taking money over a Sheringham deal in the High Court. And like Parliament, you can't touch them when they say it in High Court or in Parliament. Now, the second he's brave enough, big enough, and gets a bloody shave and doesn't walk like a spiv, I'll sue him if he repeats it. There you are.
Well, maybe Mr. Sugar's watching tonight, Brian. You know.
If he isn't, he'll watch it tomorrow. Sugar got rid of... Hang on.
Yes?
I haven't finished. Sugar got rid of his manager, right? He then took on board, the chairman of Tottenham Football Club, then took on board to oversee all transfer deals. He dropped such a clanger with the German, he's pissed off.
Who has? The German or...
Yeah, the German. And he did his contract. That's how clever he is. Hey, and lost a fortune as well on him.
Having paid the first £1 million transfer fee, does Brian Clough feel responsible for starting the excessive transfer market?
I feel responsible for just the fashion, you. It took me about 3 months to twig him. I twigged him.
Mr. Clough, given your no-nonsense managerial style in years gone by, how would you have handled the likes of Eric Cantona?
Got to be careful, because I promised Barbara I wouldn't swear. And I cut his balls off.